Inside the Birds is back. What's up, everybody? Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan here for another Inside the Birds, and this is a big one. It is our annual 53-man roster projection podcast. The Eagles are done with the preseason. Man, did they end it in epic fashion? Though, was it a 48-10 loss? I mean, it's a preseason game, but obviously nobody played very well, Adam. It made me like justified and validated. And like we went down. It was fun to see you there. We hung out. We did 2 days of sort of joint practices. Only one wound up being joint. Then we were out of there. There was no need to go stick around for that carnage.
Oh my God! And the Thursday practice was not very good. Though the Wednesday practice, they felt that they really got some good work, and they did. The Dolphins run all their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So did the Eagles, and they were going against a defense that is multiple. That's the New England defense, a defense they're not going to face this season, but it's great to see a different 34 front that they face.
Mm-hmm.
Hurts handled it really well. I know they didn't make a lot of plays, but Hurts handled it. He's so good with the football. He just doesn't turn it over. The hope is this year that he develops better as a passer, sees the field better, which we're told he did in the spring and in training camp. And you saw what he did against the Jets. So the hope is this carries over to the week 1 game against the maybe improved Lions, because everyone's going on the hype of the Lions, and I was able to do some Lions scouting through and the NFL film series on HBO, Hard Knocks, just for a laugh. But it's actually really good. I'm a big Dan Campbell fan, Mr. Bite the Kneecaps guy. So I know you love
Campbell
that.
fan too.
Yeah, he's cool. And Deuce is awesome. Oh my God, he's like the star of Hard Knocks.
Of course he is. Listen, Hard Knocks was made for Deuce. I mean, Deuce was made for the cameras, and that whole coaching staff really is just with their kind of, like you said, devouring the kneecaps and built Ford tough, since they're out there, Lions, Ford family. That's that's who they are. I think that plays well on TV. Certainly in Philadelphia, a staff like that, like bravado like that, I think would play really well as well. And sometimes Nick Sirianni's attitude sometimes it does with the crowd. They've warmed up to him here in Philly, because he won.
I love to see the Eagles on Hard Knocks next season. There's certain rules. Yeah,
it'll be a first.
Yeah, I would love that. But anyway, yeah. So you could just junk the. We're told the tape was so bad. There's not one player who stood out well. So we will junk it and we'll move on.
Yes, I'm sure that the the guys who had to play that night definitely did. All right, couple of quick announcements before we get into the 53-man roster prediction. As we said last pod, we're doing a live show on Wednesday, and Inside the Birds TV this Wednesday. What's that? August 31st, I believe.
Yep.
It is going to be awesome in Fishtown at the Mural City Garden, and the admission is free. So come out, see us. We'll be joined by Jason Avant, and what we'll be doing is basically recapping the preseason, and really looking forward to the getting Jason's opinion on the team, and looking forward to the start of the season. So it'll be a great time, be a good show. Adam and I will sort of give some preseason predictions as well. We'll get Jason on the record with his preseason prediction. The address is 2211 Frankfurt Ave in Fishtown. It's called the Mural Cities Garden, or longer, Mural City Cellars Wine Garden. It's free admission. There'll be great food there, great drink there. It'll be outside. The weather hopefully will be nice. I think it's supposed to be good. So really look forward to getting back out there and having fun with our friends up in Fishtown, where we've done a ton of shows. So it'll be a great time there.
Yeah, you cannot miss the trolley. That's the star attraction.
Got to see the trolley.
Scepter trolley is awesome. For those of you who grew up in Philly or the suburbs, or you ever took a trolley in the 80s or 70s. I took trolleys in the 80s. They're so cool. And it's exactly what I remember. That green, like half of the trolley's green, and half of it's like yellow.
Yeah, the little yellow stripe down the center, right?
So cool. It brings me back to growing up here. It's such a great idea. And I look forward to talking to Eagles and a recap training camp, preseason, additional notes. We'll have more notes after the once the initial 53, there's never final 53. It doesn't exist. We're projecting this show, the 53, I call it the first 53. That'll literally change within 24 hours. And let me give you the timeline. So Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, you have to get down to 53. The next day, 12 p.m. Eastern at 6, you could start after 12:01 Eastern. You could do two things. You could claim every player that was cut Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They lump them all together, and they could all be claimed at 12 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. At 12:01 Eastern, you could start setting your 60-man practice squad. So lots of maneuvering mid-afternoon on Wednesday, and then that's it. We've got the off week. And then after that, on Monday, what they'll do is the players should get the weekend off. A light practice Monday, off Tuesday, practice Wednesday. It's the normal practice week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, walk through Saturday, fly to Detroit, game on Sunday.
Good stuff. That's amazing how quickly that happens. And, that brought up a thought I had. I wanted to discuss with you really quickly, Adam. If Nick Sirianni could do it all over again, I wonder how much this might have been discussed when they planned it. If you think about it, they were on the road last week for the Cleveland game, the joint practices, then the Cleveland game, on the road again in Miami. They only came home for a day. Then they had to leave for Miami, had joint practices, preseason game in Miami. Now they're home. They're home for a couple of days. I mean, more than a week here because of the way the schedule is. But then they're back on the road for the season opener in Detroit. And, that's a lot of travel. That's basically 3 out of 5 weeks that they were away from home from the start of the Cleveland week until the end of, to the season opener. And I just wonder if that was discussed, like that being a little bit too much travel away from Philly, what that would do for the legs of the team. I mean, in Miami, they were a step slow. There's no question about it. That first day against the Dolphins, and then even the second day, they didn't practice against the Dolphins, but it was, as we both reported on the ITB TV we did this past week, it was not a great practice. It was not clean. It was not efficient. The defense clearly was ahead of the offense. It was more of an offense lethargy than anything. But I just wonder when he looks back on this, if Nick Sirianni will think maybe 2 road joint practices and preseason games when I have a road home opener might have been a whole lot of earlier travel than I was expecting this, than I realized.
Yeah, see, I'd mentioned this more than once that the biggest fear that teams have if you have joint practices in August, one team told me last year they were shot physically. Their players were really tired to start the season.
Right.
One team told me, and so they took that in mind. So they only did 1 joint practice instead of 2. They still did the third week, but they didn't want them back to back like the Eagles did. Eagles had him back to back. Now Detroit's less than an hour flight. Believe it or not, it's actually really short from Philly.
Right.
So that I don't worry about that one. That's Saturday. They're going to be home. They'll be acclimated. But on your point, you and I were there. That heat was intense in Miami. In Miami Gardens, right in back of the stadium, the Hard Rock, and I just remember being like really worn out. Me personally, as much water I was trying to drink. And look, the starters were working. The starters worked a lot. I mean, they got a lot of reps. Obviously, weren't playing the game. Now, if you want, we don't know why. Quite frankly, those guys were why the defense was so bad. Against Miami in the game. It was embarrassing. They didn't show up. The run defense was about as bad as I've seen in years. I get you're not playing the starters. Understood.
Yeah. But no, I agree with that. I thought effort was an issue, which was surprising to me. It's the first time I thought, I mean, not that they're not trying hard. They just look like, for what you're saying, like for guys who are trying to, put good film on and really impress themselves on the Eagles or the rest of the league. It did not look like their best foot forward, but maybe it really was that they were they might have been out of gas, man. It was very possible. You did bring that up. I remember you saying that now that you remind me a couple of weeks ago when this all started. And I think that maybe that might be a reason for what we've seen.
Well, let's see. So they played, when did they play? Saturday?
They played Saturday. Yeah.
So they got Sunday off. Are they working? Are they working today?
Yeah.
Forget.
Yep. They'll practice
Okay.
Monday. Yep.
It'll be light. It'll be light in nature.
Hmm.
And Sirianni, this is as a young head coach here in his second year. He's got to make sure that now again they rested all their starters. I mean, it was, and we know there'll never be a situation where it would be all backups playing for them ever.
Right.
But the thing that I think bothered some people is lack of competitiveness for guys who are, we know they're trying,
Hmm.
but not being in gaps, missed a sign. It was horrendous.
Hmm.
These guys have jobs on the line and so forth. So, okay, it's over with. So we'll see what kind of energy they have. But the good thing is having this off week. I know some people are complaining they want football this week. Hey, there's no football, but the good thing is the Eagles came out of training camp fairly unscathed, and that in the preseason, so that was a good one.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, it's not like you should get normally there would be just the fourth preseason game. So at least you
Yeah.
got the last preseason game out of the system early here, and you can,
Yeah.
look, focus on the Phillies right now. They got a nice little run going on, and then before you know it, the season opener will be here. And we will have it all covered, of course. So a reminder for that show that we're doing in Fishtown, if you can't make it out, to come see us live. And by the way, if you do, we're going to be giving away prizes. So that's another bonus to
Oh,
come
cool.
see us.
Cool.
We'll have giveaways and things. But if you can't, the show will be streamed on all of our socials, our Facebook, our YouTube page, Twitter, so you can catch that on there. Also, as we've been saying, we're going to be back pretty soon on 97.5 The Fanatic. Our first show will be Monday, September 12th, the day after the season opener against the Lions from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. All the shows that we do for the Fanatic are archived on their website. So if you can't listen live, you can go on to their app or website and check it out at your convenience. But we look forward to talking to you and interacting with you when we are on air. So please give us a call. We'd really appreciate it. All right, let's get into the 53-man roster projection. So here's what's interesting. We've said, Adam, for quite a while that this team is much deeper than the past teams, which is true. But I have found that the depth is really concentrated into like defensive line, offensive line, somewhat maybe you could say at wide receiver. But I didn't have as much trouble as I thought I was going to have trying to find 53.
So
Like
same thing.
my only issue was like I had like 47 or 48 locks. So I had 6 to choose from out of 7 to 10 guys, and so I just was a little unsure personally. And this is weird for us because some of this we do on our own instinct, some we do on intel. But personally, it wasn't as tough as I thought it would be. It was just really kind of deciding a couple of those last spots and then trying to play Howie with certain guys who were drafted and versus not drafted too. So let's start it off there. So
Exactly.
I'm glad you said you too. So it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting how that came about.
Well, it's funny. I started last week on this, and I was at 48.
Uh-huh.
The ones that I struggled with was Britton Covey. I mean, most likely will be on the team.
Uh-huh.
He had a good camp. He did. It's the media's. You would have to literally be watching every play that he made to evaluate him. To say he doesn't deserve to be on the team, you'd have to actually be grading him. So he had a good camp. He's kind of what they thought he would be.
Right.
But look, they have a number scale. The Deion Kane deserves to be on the team. It's a tough call.
Yeah.
But they've got a numbers issue. There's a saying in the NFL, you can't keep everybody. It's a little bit harder this year.
Right.
I know from talking to the Seahawks for years, they would always tell me, man, it's another year. There are going to be some guys who are going to be playing elsewhere. We don't want to do it. We don't want to cut this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the Eagles have, we got a couple of little nuggets for you on this one where you're going to be like, really? You think he did well? Yeah, some stuff we had not talked about before that came to our attention over the weekend.
Yep.
But what made it easier is Reed Sinnett, who was a star of camp for 2 weeks. He really fell off. The games really exposed him. Now you know why he's on his third team.
So, yes.
He cannot be on the team.
Right. The fact that he's on his third team means that other teams have liked his skill set before. They like his size, his arm, things that we did see even when he wasn't playing well. So this is going to fall for me into one of those categories where you talk about roster maneuvering, right? So in your 53 man, you keep Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew. You keep 2 quarterbacks.
Yep.
Correct? I
Correct.
keep 3, but
Ooh.
I keep Reed Sinnett, but only as insurance. And what I mean by that is, let's say you waive in your scenario, you're 53, you're waiving Reed Sinnett and you're waiving Carson Strong, right?
Oh, yeah.
Carson Strong, I think we could accurately. I think the Eagles would love it if somebody claimed his contract at this
Oh,
point.
yeah. After it just didn't. It didn't work. I think what you have to be careful with, and this is a lesson for draftniks out there, be careful when you say a guy could have been a top 10 pick. You don't have access to medical. You don't have access to mental. How will they learn?
Diagnosing, classroom, all
Everything.
of that, right?
You don't. So you got to be careful when you. I've used the example of Brian Brom. Could not have been it was the worst projected player I've ever seen with draft people.
Mm-hmm.
It was so off. I mean, you couldn't throw more darts on that one. It was just wrong. That you were just.
Who was the
if you
guy?
would have left
Brian Brome?
Brian Brom, Jeff Brom's brother.
Right. I remember he was a Louisville quarterback too, just like Jeff, wasn't he? Yeah.
I think he might have been a second round. He never made it. Brian Brom just was not very good. But
right.
If he would have left the year before, he wouldn't have been the first pick overall. According to who? It was just not. It was not true.
Right. It's tough when you don't have that access.
Yeah, and I get that.
Yeah.
Like you watch his, you watch his TV copy. You go, oh wow, this guy looks really good. He could be the top 10 pick. Well, you don't have any information. It's like, so when we're projecting this could be a really good class next year, it's just where they are going into their final year before clubs get access to mental, medical, all the testing, and getting in front of these players. And Carson Strong's a guy that is nowhere near what people thought he was. And just because you have a strong arm, in fact, the strong arm, his mechanics are so off, his timing is so off. I just don't see him as an NFL player.
Right. So I think I agree with you 100%. I don't think he's right for the Eagles because he did not prove himself. But the fact that he's already been on 3 teams, the Eagles one of them, makes me think that if they waive him, I could see a team claiming him off waivers.
I don't. Not at all.
All right, but even if they don't, like you need a third quarterback. You can't just go
get somebody else. Yeah.
But who? So that's my point is, why wouldn't you just hold on to Reed Sinnett? If you're going to have 3 quarterbacks, why wouldn't you hold on to Reed Sinnett? And then when that other person becomes available, then you claim that person off waivers and then get rid of Reed Sinnett. I would hold on to him just to make sure I got my guy.
I would not. In fact, his tape was so bad in the preseason. He was so lost. This is what happens when you got to play the process out. Yes, he definitely looked like okay, he had the arm. You had the note about coachable, smart guy. Well, when the fastballs were thrown in the preseason, he struggled mightily, and I'm being kind.
I totally agree. He was not impressive. Something we saw, something we're told. It just was not good.
Yeah. So what you do is you look at waivers. You see all the quarterbacks who are cut, who are not vested. You see all the veterans that were cut, and you go from there. There'll be some guys available because let's put it this way: the only reason why you would put Sinnett as your practice squad is you want to develop him.
Right.
That would be a reason to do it. But do you feel like he's still, do you want to develop him? That's what the Eagles have to ask themselves here. This is not the easy call that it was 2 weeks ago. At worst, he would be cut, and if he doesn't get claimed, you sign him to your practice squad.
Right.
To the point now where it was a struggle. That all the good stuff, he kind of, is the game too fast for him at this level? Who knows?
So if you're going to then waive him,
so you and I are not in agreement there. It's okay.
No, it's fine. It's we sort of are, because again, my point is he's not going to be on the team.
Yeah.
I'm only keeping him as a placeholder, but you're doing the same thing.
I'm not.
No, hold on, listen. You're doing it with a different player at a different position, because if you're telling me the Eagles are definitely going to have a third quarterback, are you saying on the 53 or on the practice squad?
Oh, practice squad.
Okay. So you're not okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. No.
But I'm doing the same thing, because I'm saying again, you have Reed Sinnett for now. As soon as you get a quarterback, you claim him off waivers, you put him on your 53. Now, how long does he have to stay on your 53 for after you claim him on waivers?
The old rule was, I think, 3 games, but I need to look that up. That's a good question. I'll look
Huh.
that up.
Okay, so
So
there's a
much has
little roster
changed.
tango involved because eventually
Yeah.
what I would do is claim the quarterback. He's on my 53. I release Reed's net, and then 3 weeks into the season, I make a move to put that quarterback on the practice squad and bring elevate somebody else up just so I have them to develop.
I
But
mean, no,
that's tough.
if Sinet is waived, he clears, you don't have to do anything. You just do whatever you want on the
Well, right. It
practice.
could just be him. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Unless you're
Yeah.
just unless you're right though, and they don't want to develop him any longer. They feel like
I
they've
don't know.
reached
That's
their.
they have to really make a tough decision there.
Mhm.
This is where Brian Johnson, the quarterback's coach, uh, Patullo, Sirianni's right-hand man, and obviously uh, the offensive coordinator.
Mhm.
They all have to get together, Steichen, and they all have to have, and with the general manager and the front office,
Mhm.
they all have to have a tough talk here. I know it's a minor move, and yes, you'd love, because remember now, Minshew's contract up after this year is up after this year. Hertz will head into next year unless he gets extended on the final year of his deal. Boy, you'd love to have a developmental quarterback.
Yeah.
Sure, they have 2 picks next year. You'd love not to have to spend one of them on a quarterback. We'll see, but that's I didn't think we were going to talk so much about this, but this is the dilemma, if it
Right.
is,
Right.
that they would potentially have.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. You could just not keep Reedsonet and then just claim a guy off. Well, again, when you claim a guy off waivers, you've got to put him on the 53. So maybe they wait for even the waiver claims and then just sign a practice squad quarterback when all the smoke clears.
Mm-hmm.
Is that's what
Yeah,
your solution is? Okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
Wednesday and see the veterans that are out there. We'll see, but it's because as we go through the offense, man, it was really easy to do the rest of the. We'll see if I'm right, of course, or you're right when you're
Right.
yours, but it took me offense 10 minutes. It was defense, man.
Yes, I
It took me
agree.
like a half an hour. I had like different scenarios. Wait a minute. I heard, I'm like, I'm going to be wrong on this. Just put it up.
All right, on to running back, which we will probably spend no more than 20 seconds on because we both have been saying this for a while and we both have pretty much the same prediction. 3 guys make it: Sanders, Gainwell, Scott. That's
Mhm.
it. That's your running backs.
Yeah. So look for them to add a running back one way or the other.
Yep.
Kenny Brooks is not the guy.
No.
They need what's called a 4-minute back, a power back who could handle carries. This is the Jordan Howard role.
Mm-hmm.
It could be on the practice squad, the 53. It could be after week 1, so they
Yep.
don't guarantee a veteran's contract who is termination pay
Mm-hmm.
still
Mm-hmm.
do. One way or the other, they need another back with obviously that you have to have. If you have 3 on the active 53, you have to have 1 on the practice squad, so they
Right.
can't go up. We all know that, but I'm still expecting him to be a back with size. Now Huntley, I would expect him to be on the practice. If he clears waivers, I would expect him to the practice squad. He's done enough to show that he's shown a little bit, he's shown that he's worth developing a little bit.
I think he could be a returner for somebody if someone wanted to claim a return
Mhm.
specialist off the waivers. And sometimes teams do that. The better teams will do
Sure.
that. But if not, if somebody claims them, then you say, okay, great, good for them. If not, come back on the practice squad. I think that'd be fine. All right. Wide receivers. I think we are also in lockstep with this one. AJ
Are we?
Brown, Devontae Smith,
Yep.
Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal, and Britton Covey. We both have those
Oh,
5. And
okay.
people are going to say, wait a minute. It's
Yeah.
not who you're listing here. It's who you're not listing.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. You're cutting Jalen Rager, Adam and Geoff?
No.
Oh. We both fundamentally believe that Jalen Rager will somehow wind up being traded before this deadline. We're not
It's a
reporting
gut
anything.
feeling.
I'm just saying I think
Yeah.
it just
I mean,
makes too much sense.
So if you're hearing this when it drops at 6 a.m. Eastern today, he may be traded by tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Mhm.
If he's somehow on the roster, I just don't see a role for him. Could he be the punt returner? Sure. And Covey can do that too. I just don't see a role here. I mean, Watkins passed him by, Smith obviously, Brown, and Pascal passed him by. He's been just a remarkable story. The guy comes off, he unfortunately started training camp with food poisoning. last 2 weeks, I mean, he's been sort of a star of training camp and also did well in the preseason game.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've talked about this ad nausea. I mean, the Eagles, without verbally saying it, they moved on when they signed Zach Pascal, when they said Quez Watkins was their number 3 guy, when they drafted Devontae Smith before that. I mean, they kept pushing Jalen Reagor down the depth chart to the point where you're a first round pick. You're not going to be the 5th wide receiver on a team. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to make that salary and not do anything. And again, could he, I guess at this point, if he's not traded, I don't think the Eagles are going to release him. So he'll be on the team as a returner, and that would probably knock Britton Covey off. Do you agree with that?
I mean, if some reason, because I think Kane, as good of a story he's been, I know Nick is close to him, and it's been in more. If you really knew his story, he clearly could have quit football. His knee was to get his knee right. It took at least 3 years. It's a great story of perseverance, and it's a great, really rooting for the kid.
Right.
But they don't need him. And I thought you wrote a really good note in your post preseason game notebook, where it's been a great story. But you know what? He's a 5th receiver. You could just put him on your practice squad,
right?
And I don't think he's vested. So if that's the case, let him pass through waivers. If he gets claimed, great.
Yeah.
Oh well. If he doesn't,
and by the way, he's probably not. I know that sometimes people look at things through funneled vision, but every team's got that wide receiver. I mean, the Eagles have one every year. There's a wide receiver who impresses you and you like. I mean, it happens every year, every team. So the idea that you're really worried that Deion Kane's going to get claimed, could it happen? Sure, it could. But I mean, is it likely at that spot? I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. So I got Covey as my 5th, and then that's it. Tight end's easy too.
What about some of the like the John Hightowers of the world? And we already talked about Deion Kane.
Yeah,
practice squad
okay.
Hightower.
Good point. Okay, here are my practice squatters from the positions we've talked about.
Okay,
Huntley, if he clears. Hightower, Devin Allen.
Yep.
Deion Kane. Oh, Greg Ward has been out he's basically been out all training camp. Would you practice squad him? He's vested.
So the only thing you'd want Greg Ward for at this point is returns. And if you already have Covey on the team, and Hightower can actually return as well. Actually, Hightower had a couple of decent catches in that game. He might be one of the few guys. Him and Kane might have been the only 2 guys who played on Saturday night that actually did something productive. But I mean, I just don't see a future for Greg Ward any longer here. I mean, this is the guy that we've said year after year the team is always trying to upgrade from, and they couldn't do it until now. But now they can finally say they've upgraded from.
So true. That's the best way to say it. There's a saying in the NFL, like, it's a guy that's marginal. Let's say you have a quarterback that's very average. You're always the guy might be your starter now, but you're always going to look to replace him. Yeah. That's who Greg Ward is. It's been a great story of perseverance. Another really good Eagles story.
Yeah.
Good dude, but the toe injury, which has lingered for over a month now, that's it. I'm just talking about practice squad, bringing him back. So your practice squad guys would be Hightower. We've heard quietly he's done a decent job in camp. Devin Allen, who's come on here at least. Let's put it this way. 2 weeks ago, I would have said no, even practice squad. He's not shown anything. He's come on here to get a look as a returner. Allen, Kane, Hightower. That would be it. And then
it's probably all you need. Yeah.
Exactly. That's
all right. Sounds good. You ready to go tight end?
Yep.
Because I was surprised by this, but you and I are in lockstep yet again.
And barrel.
Lock, stock, and barrel. And I'm surprised more by my own self, because I have tried to talk everybody, including myself and you, into the idea that the Eagles only really needed to keep 2 tight ends, right? And then stash a bunch on the practice squad so they can go heavier in other areas. But like I said earlier, I found that I didn't have trouble with the numbers, so I had room for guys. And so for me, it came down to Calcaterra versus Togiai. And you drafted Calcaterra. He's young. He missed a lot of time. You want the chance to develop him. So you keep him on the 53. You figure you can waive Togiai and bring him back into the practice squad. I know that went against them 2 years ago. But even if that happened again, Adam, you still have Richard Rodgers. You'll have Tyree Jackson coming back at some point during the season. Like, you can live without Noah Togiai, of course, and it gives you a chance to make sure that you retain Calcaterra.
Yeah, so Calcaterra, if he's on the 53 and he actually dresses this season, he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You could put out a lineup with speed and explosion. Smith, Watkins. You could have Gainwell. You can go Pony. There's so many different things you can do because Calcaterra is just as great as got of a camp he had. I jokingly told someone, I was like, I literally don't think he was covered all camp. I think they tried, but they couldn't cover him. And he's a vertical guy too, at tight end, but this kid is really explosive.
Yeah.
He just needs to get stronger.
I mean, we say that a lot of guys, but it seemed painfully obvious with him that he's got to get bigger and stronger. Not necessarily to be a blocker, right? But like just being like competent at it. You know, you can't be telegraphing every time he's out there that you're going to be.
It's true. I know. Yeah. He's got to give the effort. It's funny as we talk about him, the biggest stick figure of a player I ever saw. Do you remember Alex McAllister? I think that was his name.
Oh my God, the defensive end from Florida. Yes,
he was
literally like 6'8".
He was like maybe 6'6", but like I'm talking like a wafer. He was so thin
legs. Yes,
he couldn't fill out his jersey. I'm like, this guy's got no chance.
Yeah,
and he never made it. He was just too thin.
Yep.
That was the problem for the Browns' first round pick in 13, who lasted forever. Really thin guy. God, what was his name?
The Browns. Say it again. The who?
The Browns drafted a guy from LSU who I'll get his name real quick.
Barkevius Mingo.
Mingo, great call. Mingo, yeah. He had very thin legs, and here's a good one for you Chip Kelly fans: very thin wrists. The analytic data was very good on him, but the body type was terrible for the NFL. He made it for a while, but he never became a player because he was too light.
Right.
And you got to have something. You got to have on the hoof. You got to have something, man. If you don't have an anchor of your body, you're just not going to be a player. And Calcaterra is super athletic, but he's got to get stronger. And that to me, if you and I are running the show, this is a discussion where do we waive him? We know he was out of football because he was semi-retired because of the concussions. Do you risk it? It's a small risk, but again, any player you waive, you have to assume you're going to lose him.
Yep.
Are you going to lose any sleep? Okay, as you said, Richard Rodgers, Togiai. Correct pronunciation is Togiai.
Tungiai, right.
Are you going to worry about it?
No.
It just gives you something different you don't have at tight end. That's why I would rather not cut him.
And and as much as I talked myself into 2 tight ends on the 53 for about 3 or 4 weeks, I wound up agreeing with you and putting Calcaterra on as a 3rd tight end. So far we're lockstep in running back, wide receiver, tight end, and we just sort of had a roster technicality disagreement on quarterback with Reed Sinnett. So that's pretty good. We'll see if we pair up correctly on offensive line in a second. First, we want to stop and tell you about our partners, Freestone Farms CBD, our favorite CBD brand, because they farm it themselves with all organic inputs, and they offer you education on what they grow and how they grow it to make the best quality product on the market. We've tried different brands, but honestly, Freestone Farms CBD has been the most amazing one. We like it after workouts to kind of help with that iffy regular post-workout feel, and then also right before bed, we sleep so much better at night. And what's even more exciting is that Freestone Farms unveiled an all-new strain menu with some great CBD you're going to find at prices you'll love. So you go to FreestoneFarmsCBD.com and you will find it all there. I believe you've heard us talking about some of their best strains. They've got the insane tropical tasting Bayox. It clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%. They've got the Super CBD. It's a half Hindu Kush at 21%. The genetics the guys use just don't get better. They grow all of their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM. Absolutely nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after they harvest, they carefully preserve all the plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. All you need to do is look at it once, just smell it once. You'll know it's CBD done right. And it's a product that's great for those who like to take a natural approach to what they put in their body. So if you use promo code ITB, you'll get 20% off at checkout. That's promo code ITB to get 20% off at checkout on FreestoneFarmsCBD.com. All right, let's get into the offensive line. This one was a difficult one.
Was it?
Just in the last spot, just
Okay.
things we had heard about certain guys who had played well, and
All right.
just this. They always seem to kind of surprise you with a guy that they keep. So, go through yours. You go through yours first.
Okay. So my 10.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make sure sometimes I have trouble counting. 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. The starting 5: Mailata, Dickerson, Kelsey, Seumalo, Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I call him Jack Stoll? Idiot.
You mean Anderson?
No. Driscoll. Jack Driscoll.
Right.
6. Jurgens is 7. Opeta's 8. Anderson's 9. LaRaven Clark is 10. They brought him back for a reason. No, I'm not expecting Dillard to get traded, and he didn't play particularly well in the Miami game.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't help. We'll see. There are a couple of teams are a little bit banged up at left tackle. There's no way they would trade Dillard to Dallas, I wouldn't think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if Dallas is called. Dallas is using their first-round pick to Tyler Smith to play left tackle, and he's a major project. Good for Eagles, man, because Dallas is in trouble without Tyron Smith. I'm telling you.
I'm sure they are. Yeah, that's not going to be easy.
No, but that's it. It's my 10. No, that's
so
it.
you're missing a certain guy, and I don't know, because I've done this before and realized it was an oversight, or maybe there's an intention. You don't have anybody getting traded here, but Andre Dillard.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, that's the one.
All right. So are you keeping 11, or are you kicking one of these guys you mentioned to the curb here, or?
I have. It makes it hard. You know what what they can do under that scenario is they could pull instead of fully guaranteeing Clark's base, they could just cut him.
Yep.
And re-sign him after week 1. He's not going to play anyway.
That's what I anticipate. I didn't have LaRaven making it as
That's
well.
what I'm going to do. Good catch. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to play the roster tango. This is a common move not every team, most teams make, is they don't want to guarantee. It's like with Jordan Howard. Now they could also put Clark in the practice squad by cutting him and then just re-signing him there with the veteran exception of under the 16. But yeah, I would put Dillard there, Clark off. Still got to keep 10. And I got to tell you, Opeta, we don't talk about him enough. He's been a very good story. He's cleaned up some of the technique issues.
Yeah.
Mental errors are down. He's been a really good story. Again, we haven't talked about him. We used to talk about Driscoll a lot.
Right.
Not as much as Opeta, but Opeta's been a really good story.
He has been. So my starting 5 are the same as yours, not surprisingly. Also have Dillard, also have Jurgens, so that's 7. Also have Driscoll, that's 8. And I kept Opeta as well. I was impressed with this preseason, heard good things. So that's 9.
Guard, yeah. Sure.
So my 10th was a kind of a battle between Jack Anderson and Coyote Owoshka. Now, I was originally going with Anderson. We know they claimed him off the Bills practice squad. They developed him on the last year, but heard Owoshka has performed well and even maybe at times better than Jack Anderson. Now, he's got some size. I don't want to call him issues, but he's not the biggest guy in the world. But he has been with the team now for, I think, longer than Anderson, if I'm not mistaken, because he was a rookie free agent from 2 years ago that they've kept.
Yeah. Here's the only thing to consider.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to cut Anderson, he's got a much better reputation with teams than Osika does.
Mm-hmm.
The Osika is almost certain not to get claimed.
Right.
Never say never. Obviously, we don't know what 31 other teams are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But Anderson would have a better chance of getting claimed. He's a guard center, who it wasn't just the Eagles who tried to sign him off the Bills practice squad.
Right.
You have to look at other teams.
So that's where my issue is that
Yeah.
I think the intel is out on the Eagles offensive line. I even talked to some teams who are asking me about the Eagles backup offensive linemen.
Okay.
So I sense that both of these guys would be in danger of being claimed because they're versatile and they've been coached up by the Eagles, and the team knows that this team is really deep on the offensive line, and there's really bad offensive lines in this league. I mean, a lot of them. So I
Yeah.
would worry about losing both of them. And this one's tough because Anderson's guard center, Awoshika is guard tackle, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, he's really too short to play left tackle. He's a right tackle
Right
guard.
tackle, right.
Yeah, yeah.
So you kind of look at what you have. Well, you've got Driscoll, who's already a guard tackle, but you have Juergens, who's already a guard center. I don't know, man. This one's tough. So I'm just gonna, just for the sake of argument, right? Just because it's fun to be different, I'm gonna keep Awoshika over Anderson. Actually, I probably should make Opeta go. Ordinarily, if we went into the year, I thought it'd be Opeta, but he's had a really good preseason.
No, not only is he
so
a lock for
strong.
him, he went from he needs to prove himself. He's their top. He is. They have two backup guards, or their second team guards are clear. It's Driscoll and Opeta.
Right.
Yeah, Opeta's absolutely solidified himself as a guard. Yeah,
Right.
as a guy who'll probably dress every week. Not only that, yeah, I wouldn't believe that in April or May, but look, give the kid credit, and yet another one by Geoff Stoutland.
Yes. So that'll wrap up our offense. We both kept, I believe, well, I kept 24, you kept 23 because you did not keep Sinet. And then the only difference we had was really offensive line, Awoshika versus Jack Anderson, which is like, what are we talking about here? Third string guards. So
yeah, exactly. It's Coyote Osika. How do I know? I watched the video 50 times.
That's right. Osika. I forgot about that. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah. You could actually go to YouTube, and he's last year at University of Buffalo. They woke him up. I guess he did a series. He was and he was waking his teammates up. It's actually pretty cool. It's got a good personality. But anyway, it's going to be fascinating to see what they do at wide receiver. And again, to finish this off before we get to defense, if somehow Rager's still on the team, if he's not the punt returner, does he dress every week? I just don't see a kind of role on offense for him.
It's the proof is in what they've done. I agree with you. I don't know what kind of role he'd play. They have done that before. They've had activated players who are really just returners, just not very often. You see that.
Now, I'll say this about Rager. He had a very good camp. His offseason, we're told he didn't drop one punt. He did everything his ass. Like last season was a disaster. Came into training camp out of shape. He did not build on the momentum that he had at times in year one. He had the two injuries. He had a special teams return. Was it against Green Bay that he had returned?
It was the 73-yarder.
Okay.
I believe it was, it was the same game. He had a 55-yard reception from Jalen Hurts. Right? Yeah, that was the first time Jalen Hurts came in for Carson Wentz. Yep.
Whatever positivity he had, he just never built on it. And they, as you correctly said, and it's probably the best point of all, as soon as last season happened, they moved on. Watkins moved up. They drafted Smith, made the trade for Brown, signed Pascal. Game over. It is what it is. We'll see if the team that lost a receiver that maybe has a running back or safety.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll see what happens here. It's going to be a fascinating next 24 and a half hours.
It will be. All right, let's get into the defensive projection. First, I want to stop and tell everybody about our friends at phlsportsnation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams for the fan, by the fan. That's their motto. So make sure you check them out at phlsportsnation.com and on Twitter at phlsportsnation. Let's pause real quick now for a word from our other great sponsors, including our friends from Sky Motor Cars. And if you hop out there to Sky Motor Cars in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal.
As Nakobe Dean did, the latest of the Eagles. And Marcus Peters did of the Ravens. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
They travel from afar to get to Sky Motor Cars.
Yeah, they actually deliver that one to Marcus Peters at the Ravens complex. In fact, they ship cars to California. See, people, what happens is if you go to their website, skymotorcars.com, if you live out of state, just go to their website, and you see the car you want, they will ship it to you. Pretty cool.
Definitely. All right, defensive line, and I swear, I'm going to give this disclaimer to our listeners. We don't do this together. Adam and I do our separate 53s. Just so happens that sometimes we're always on the same page, and we are here with defensive line. Both of us kept 9 defensive linemen. The obvious ones, the first 5, Cox, Hargrave, Sweat, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett. That's 5 right there. Jordan Davis, first-round pick, of course, 6. Milton Williams, 7. And then the other backups would be Teron Jackson, Marlon Tuipulotu.
Yeah.
And is that 9?
That's
right?
it. Yeah,
so, yeah, that's 7 plus 2 is 9.
Easy.
Yes.
Yeah. If it's anything but this 9, I guess never say never. There'd be surprise. We could. I know because people want to know the intel on the other players. We could give you. We got a couple questions because we haven't talked a lot about. Marvin Wilson has shown enough to be on the practice squad. We are told Kobe Smith outside chance. Rennell Wren, no, not. Certainly be surprising if he was there, and that would be it. To be honest,
Kobe Smith did get more. It seemed he got into games before Marvin Wilson, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't read into it, but Wilson definitely made some plays, and that would be pretty much because you need to have a D tackle on the practice squad or 2.
Yes, they do.
So I would say Wilson would be a good practice squad candidate.
Correct. Any defensive ends that are obvious practice squad candidates? Did we go through the end?
Yeah, there's no one left. That is.
How is that possible?
Well, remember,
they'll claim some guys, but
yeah. I mean, Matt. Well, no, you. I mean, I don't know that they claim anyone.
No, I'm sorry, not claim. I meant they will sign some guys.
Yeah, practice squad them. Yeah, if whoever hits the street. If there's a now, every once in a while something shocks us. Well, understand something. The reason why you don't have to worry about that is because Kyron Johnson, yes, he's a strong side linebacker. Patrick Johnson, they look at him as edge rushers.
Right.
So Kyron Johnson's sneaky, man. We'll get to him in a minute.
We will.
He definitely has shown up. You just don't hear a lot about him, but we're told he's definitely shown up. Teron Jackson, edge rusher. Patrick Johnson, edge rusher. Kyron Johnson, edge rusher. Hassan Reddick, edge rusher. Yeah, he's technically strong side linebacker.
Right.
Pass rusher. So you don't need to have anyone else because they're all pass rushers.
Correct. And that takes us into strong side. I separated on mine strong side linebacker from inside linebackers, but that's fine. We had the same guys, same Sams, which was Reddick, Patrick Johnson, and Kyron Johnson. Yeah, absolutely. And the only question I would have, and this is more schematic, if Hassan, I think Patrick Johnson had a nice camp. I don't know how much they trust him, though, to play a lot of snaps in a game. So if Hassan Reddick were to get hurt, would they automatically just take Patrick Johnson and put him in the Sam role and play him 60 snaps a game? Or would they sort of morph their defensive front and go with a more traditional, maybe 4-3, so that they didn't have to play Patrick Johnson in that Hassan Reddick role? I mean, there's a big drop off.
Oh God, yeah.
In this case, between what Hassan Reddick can do and what Patrick Johnson can do. So I think they would probably just switch around how they looked defensively.
Well, they're going to be multiple, we're told, more than last year. Now, what that looks like, we'll see. They're 34 front, same as last year. And then it's just a matter of, okay, depending on who's healthy, if Reddick got hurt, yes, they had, then it starts looking more like 43 personnel. Though Patrick Johnson is a 34 outside linebacker. Barnett could do both. Sweat could do both. much better as a 43 wide 9, as we saw in the second half. Cosell nailed that one. He goes, if they would just play wide 9, watch Joshua take off, and he sure did once they play the wide 9.
Right.
So and Brandon Graham could do both because he did it for Billy Davis under Chip Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Teron Jackson could do both.
Mm-hmm.
He's played mostly defensive end, but you can do a couple things with him. So yeah, it's a good point. And then Kyron Johnson, if he's active on game day, he's going to be mostly special teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's a very good point. Yeah, they would have to change it up. There's just Reddick's here to play a 34 outside linebacker. That's what he is.
Right.
That's how he flourished when the Cardinals finally figured it out. And that's what the Panthers did with him.
Absolutely. Okay, so inside linebackers, again, you and I, same. Kaiser White, TJ Edwards, Nakobe Dean, Sean Bradley. Those are the 4 I kept. Those are the 4 you keep. To me, the first 3 are obvious. It comes down to your fourth, your second backup has got to play special teams. I think Davion Taylor is obviously very fast and athletic. We know that's why they picked him in the 3rd round, but Sean Bradley is a very good special teamer. And honestly, Davion Taylor, your eyes didn't deceive you, folks. The team knows it. He did not play well this camp. Good against the run, but he just cannot he didn't get the coverage down. And, unfortunately got hurt last year. So that really stunted his development. He was starting to improve, mostly I would say as a downhill or a run stopping linebacker. He was not great in coverage, and he wasn't great in coverage that's what he was drafted for, to be a coverage, a 3-down kind of coverage linebacker.
Nickel linebacker, yeah.
And 3rd spring, not there. And look, I maybe Howie keeps him because he's a 3rd round pick, but
of course.
It wouldn't be the right move to keep him over Sean Bradley.
I mean, here's this just to extend your point a little bit farther. The role he was drafted for, Edwards and Dean took that role. There's no role for him here. I just don't see it, because if you put him on the roster, we haven't got the corner or safety yet. But who they? I mean, okay. So this is when it gets harder. You could kick Calcaterra off. He's right on the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you start kicking guys off that you really want to keep,
right?
Like the Sashrays of the world, who's a good special teams player who showed versatility to play in the slot or at free safety.
Right.
Yeah, this is where it becomes harder if you keep guys like that who've not shown you enough to stay on the roster.
There you go. So we'll see what happens in there. By the way, that draft now, I mean, Jalen Hurts is saving it so far by being a starting quarterback, and we'll see what happens going on, because obviously 1st round pick was Jalen Reagor, and we're sitting here talking about how he has no role on the team. 2nd round pick was Jalen. 3rd round pick was Davion Taylor, who, even if he does make the team, shouldn't and probably won't have a role. 2 4th round picks. Kavon Wallace was the 1st. Jack Driscoll was the 2nd. Now, Driscoll's all right. I mean, he's a good backup. It's
good 4th, yeah.
Good 4th guy, but still, I mean, Kavon Wallace is, as we get into safety, is, I don't think he's on either of our lists. So you're talking about 3 of the first 4 picks in that draft that are probably not going to be with the team for when the season begins. That's not great.
Yeah, I'm going through my line. Okay, so here's what I have on the practice squad. I would put Christian Ellis because he could run. That's the thing that he's really good with.
He should. He's very small for a linebacker.
He is. I know. It's like the only thing. It's funny you say that. He walked by me. I'm like, okay. I didn't see the number. I'm like, he looks like Luther Ellis' son. That's got to be Christian Ellis. And it was.
Yeah, but Luther Ellis was a big dude.
Big, I know. So much small. He's fast as hell. Apparently, this is why they're keeping. This is why they probably want him around. I'll practice squad him after he clears waivers. Davion Taylor, if he clears, I'll put him on practice squad.
Sure.
Tell me if you've heard it. I've not heard one thing that suggests that Jacoby Stevens could even be on the practice squad.
No, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he was on the practice squad, but I agree with you. There's not been a whole lot of positives surrounding Jacoby Stevens.
Yeah, so that would be it for linebacker.
All right. And boy, that draft. Whew. Okay. Safety. So this is what's that?
This is a hard one.
This is a tough one.
We're going to be wrong.
We differed on it, and I'm going to applaud you. Because I wanted to do it, but I didn't do it. I just could not cut Anthony Harris. I've wanted to. It's just like mentally putting this thing together, but I have him on the team now, but I definitely feel like he should watch out for what they might do, either on the waiver wire or just trade market or whatever. So,
Actually, I'm putting okay. I'm that's a mistake again. This is a mistake.
hey, by the way, do you want to put him on? Because I noticed something about your roster here. You have 26 guys on defense and 23 on offense, so that equals 49.
Right, plus
So,
3, right? Because see
so
again,
you're one guy short. Yeah.
what it is because they're going to trade Rager and they're going to get a player back,
Oh,
and that will
okay.
be 53. Again, this is a
That's a good point. I
projection.
didn't think about that. I'd have to
It's
leave the
just,
space open.
it's just a, it's just. I feel like if they trade Rager, they get a pick and a player back.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Tart off, and I'm gonna put Harris on.
Okay.
Now he'd start with Epps. I got Blankenship, Chachere, and Scott. Tart, they won't guarantee his salary.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 500 grand fully guaranteed anyway. So what they do is they don't fully guarantee his salary. They cut him,
Mm-hmm.
and they bring him back after week 1. Give him a little time to do a little better. He did come on until this last game. Oy vey.
Right.
They all played poorly. But yeah, I got to put Harris on here. Epps, Harris are your starters.
Okay.
Blankenship, Chachere, Josiah Scott with a hamstring. There's your 5.
Right. That's
And
what I
then-
did. I did Epps, Harris,
Yeah.
Scott, Chachere, Blankenship.
Here's my question.
Yep.
Why not do that? So I put Tart on the P squad,
Mm-hmm.
and
I
just
definitely would do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was where I put him because it for whatever reason, we're told he had trouble sort of assimilating the scheme from San Francisco, from the Niners, which is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, do you want to give him more time? Unless they make a trade for a safety could be some impactful guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many teams are going to trade you a good safety? I mean, maybe it could be like a safety that's a third safety for another team that you liked. And then if in the Rager, if they make the Rager trade, I see him getting traded for safety or running back, particularly safety. We all know this. They have to add another safety.
Right.
Just
Right.
don't know
I
who that
agree
guy
with
would
you.
be, but
Right.
that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, but I'm good catch. So yeah, absolutely Harris on the team now.
Okay.
I just don't know who they could bring in. If for those of you who want to replace Harris, I hear you. But who are you going to trade for to replace him?
That was a point I wrote in that story after the Dolphins preseason game, is that it just seems like the ship has sailed to really make a huge upgrade unless they can make a trade. I don't know, and I don't even know what the trade out there really is that they can do at that position. We'll just have to see what teams around the league do with their safety spot. I'm not saying there's nothing. I just I've looked at certain teams and I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm sure Howie Roseman will try.
Well, when they made the trade, right, with Buffalo and they got the corner,
Ronald Darby,
right? That just, I mean, it's so rare. That was because, and it should have been done much earlier. That one was when the Eagles showcased Jordan Matthews. In fact, the word was then the Bills wanted to see him play because he had an ankle sprain, and they showed that he was healthy. He played against Green Bay, and I think they traded him a day or two after that.
Yeah,
but to get. The thing was, the reason why I said it should have been done earlier, the Bills knew under Sean McDermott that Darby was not a good fit for that scheme. You just wonder why didn't they trade him away before that, but they didn't. They waited until August, I guess, and they got the deal done. And boy, what a trade that turned out to be.
Yeah, wow. I never checked. Do you remember who they got for the 3rd round pick that they got from the Eagles?
Don't know, but I just say from the Eagles standpoint, Darby helped them win a Super Bowl.
He absolutely did. That was he was big in even though he missed 10 games, he wound up coming back and he was important in the playoffs. Absolutely.
He never became the player though long term that they thought. He had injuries. We talked about the looking in the back. He just never became that player. But yet Denver paid him a ton of money. Where did he go, to Washington after this? Philly?
Washington, correct.
Right. Yeah. And he played better there and he got paid. Good for him. But
yep.
It is what it is. That's his. So who do you have at safety?
By the way, Harrison Phillips went to the Bills in the 3rd round, the defensive tackle that year in 2018. So So I guess that's from the trade.
I
Assuming
don't.
that they didn't trade
He's
down or
moved
trade
on,
up,
by
I
the
have
way.
no idea. What's
Yeah,
that?
Harrison Phillips moved on. Who did he sign with? I forget.
He's with somebody, yeah, but he's not.
He's
I
on a
don't
free
think.
agent deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So cornerback. I think again we
Well, who are your
are.
safeties? Wait, go
Oh,
back.
my fault. No, my safeties were Epps, Harris, Josiah Scott, Shashere, and Blankenship.
Okay, so that's 5. Yep.
So who are we putting on the practice squad there from the
Cut Tart, put him on the P squad.
yeah, are you putting Wallace on the practice squad?
Yeah, I
You might as
guess.
well. He knows the team, knows the system. It's not a
He get
position
claimed.
you have great
I
depth
can.
at, so why
Yep.
not?
I couldn't imagine he get claimed. He's on the 3rd year of his 4-year rookie deal.
Yeah.
That would be. There's no one really left. They're pretty thin at safety. Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. Okay. And cornerback, we both had the same guys, Bradbury, Slay, Maddox top 3, Zach McPherson Ford, and we both kept Josh Jobe 5th.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
Noah Ellis is put on reserve NFIC this year. Oh, I forgot to mention.
Uh-huh.
First year you were able to do this, so they don't count against your roster.
Right.
You could put guys on reserve PUP and reserve NFI, not IR. You could put them on early, and the Eagles did with Noah Ellis.
Right.
So he's going to miss the first 4 games. So that just eliminates even having to put him in the practice squad. So
awesome. Okay, so I have to now. We're done because that's our 53.
No, corner. We didn't do corner.
I thought we just said it. Didn't I? On my fault. I thought I said
No.
I didn't do yours. I said we both had the same ones: Slay, Bradbury, Maddox, McPherson, Jobe.
Yep.
I get. Listen.
Here's some good stuff, though. Go ahead. I'll give you some good stuff.
I was gonna say the disappointing thing is, and this is gonna happen. I mean, you try to take shots on guys, but they're low round picks for a reason. And McCain and Tay Gowan and Carrie Vincent didn't look pretty this year. I think they hoped one of those 3 was going to develop. I know they were higher on Gowan because they almost drafted him, but they did not perform very well.
So Gowan was acquired in the Earths trade, did not work. He was probably of the group the worst performer.
I would agree.
As we understand it. Matt McCain was claimed off waivers from Denver. It didn't work.
Right.
Harry Vincent was acquired from Denver. It didn't work.
Right.
Well, and I say it didn't work. There's an outside, minute chance that either McCain or Vincent makes it.
On the 53?
Yeah, I don't see it, but I've learned my lesson with thinking guys who didn't do well. They
you know what? Yeah. You gave up draft compensation for 2 of you for Gowan and for Vincent, so it makes sense if one of them potentially.
Well, no, but Gowan was acquired, and no, they didn't give.
Oh no, yeah, you're right.
They didn't give up anything for him other than he was in the Earths trade. But
right.
The guy. Here's the nugget. Mario Goodrich, if he would be the surprise to make it. He would be the guy. He was better than Gowan, McCain, Vincent, Josh Blackwell, who was cut and brought back. He was the best out of the group. It would not surprise me if you put him on your 53. I got no problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely will make the practice squad. If he's cut, he's on the practice squad. If no one claims him.
Right.
He had some good.
Oh, that's interesting because they didn't really give him too many reps in games.
Reps. Apparently, the reps that he got in practice were really good.
Mm-hmm.
And he remember now he was hurt. He got hurt at the Senior Bowl. He had an injury at the Combine.
Right.
And he was a late round. Teams had spoke with had 6 or 7 round grades on him. 1.5 I heard from a team, but all the injuries, you don't run well, you're not going to get drafted.
Right.
But he's overcome that. He's done well in practice. He would be my surprise to make it. I'm not putting him on there right now because it's so hard to. Because Bradbury, Slade, Maddox, Jobe's definitely on it. He's done a good job.
And
McPherson, is on it. By the way, he didn't play in the Miami game? Did I see that right?
Who didn't play in the Miami game?
Did Zach McPherson not play?
He didn't. I was surprised too. He did not play in the Miami game. Yeah.
Why didn't he not play?
Beats me. I was shocked.
I'm like, this can't be right. I looked at the game because I was watching, going through the tape. I was like, I don't see him. TV cop. I was like, I don't see him here.
Right.
I don't think he's hurt. We'll get an injury report. for Thursday's show, but no. It's funny because Scott Graham said tackle by Kaiser Wade. I'm like, no, Wayne.
Yeah,
How is
no,
he
it was
playing?
not Kaiser
Remember, I
White.
texted. I said that cannot be right. There's
No.
zero chance that they're playing us. In fact, if you look at their backups, if you look at the guys who did not play, they're
Mm-hmm.
all first teams, all 22 starters,
Mm-hmm.
all key backups. In fact, I'm looking at other than Ward who physically couldn't play,
Yeah,
Josiah Scott who physically couldn't play.
right.
Yeah,
Jurgens did not play, correct?
correct. Oh, no, Sasha didn't play. Did he have an injury?
I don't remember. Did Shashray play? I'm sure he did.
He
I just
did
don't
not
remember.
play. No, he was
Oh,
listed
no?
as not playing. Yeah.
That's a sign, folks. I mean, it's
I guess.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
I
kind
would
of
think
weird.
unless he was hurt, like you said. Yeah.
I mean, they have their own information. That one would surprise me, but okay. That's so.
So,
Yeah.
so here's the thing, though. I
Mhm.
made a little well, it's not. Yeah, I made a boo-boo. You did an awesome thing that I didn't think about. We both are assuming here that Rager's getting traded for a player who's going to be on the 53. So I have to cut somebody because I have a 53. You have a 52 with sort of a player to be named later after
Yep.
Rager gets dealt, which is
Yep.
smart of you. I have 53. I got to cut somebody. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm taking Reed Sinet out now. I'm cutting Reed Sinet.
Wait, did you have Clark in your 53?
LaRaven? No, I did not have LaRaven.
Okay. So
I'm
you
going
need
to cut, though.
one
You
guy.
convinced me that you don't need to keep Reed Sinet, and now I'm going to cut him.
Oh, dude, no.
Why? You like the
Don't
argument I
change
was
your
making?
mind. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
You think I'm biting off you? All right.
I want to get it right over you, man.
All
You're
right.
killing me.
Let me take a quick.
That's not fair.
It's either him or Reed Blankenship.
Well, then again, you caught my two dumb errors, so I'll give you the credit.
I did. But you know what? I think that if they do wind up bringing in a safety in the trade, then obviously Blankenship would be the one to go.
No way in hell.
That's so funny you're saying that because like 2 pods ago I said I think Reed Blankenship's going to make it. And you're like, no, he's a nice.
No. This is 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I know.
First
Now
week
you're
of training camp.
now you're telling me I'm crazy for cutting him.
No, the last 2.5, 3 weeks is when he's made his money.
I agree. I agree.
Well, and then again, they're just so thin at safety. Scott's got a hamstring injury. We'll learn a little bit more this week. We'll pin that down.
Yep.
Hard has been I hate to say a disaster. It just has not worked to this point. Did a week and a half of practice, apparently he was starting to get it, and then you have the preseason game, but no one played well.
Right.
But he doesn't earn a shot on the 53 yet.
You might have been onto that. If they do bring in a safety, right, then there's a chance that Anthony Harris is sayonara then.
No, but unless they got a starter, how are they getting a starter?
Yeah, you're right. You're not getting a starting caliber safety for Jalen Rager.
They blow me away. I don't know.
Listen, I got no other choice. Then I got to take Sinet off. I'm sorry if it's copying you, but I did go.
I don't care. That's fine. But folks,
I went with Awosika over Anderson, so we're different.
I got to give the credit to the guys on our Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
They did a great job. In fact, I was like, man, they're almost mirroring my 53. In fact, they only had a couple.
Nice.
Did a great job. These guys really know the team.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these guys did not have Covey on it. The things that I noticed on our message board, the guys who turned the 53 in, they didn't have Covey on it. A lot of people had Calcaterra on it.
Okay.
Some did have Clark on it, and they pretty much mirrored ours except for Tart, who I'm kicking off, and I'm gonna put him on the practice squad.
Right. So I got to put when I put yours on the website, I got to take Tart off, put Harris in his place, and then I have to change LaRaven Clark to Andre Dillard for you. Yeah.
There's zero chance. Obviously. Yeah. I cannot wait to see what happens by 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday with this team.
Yeah.
Because we knew they got calls last year at the deadline, and they just putting up they did not want to trade Dillard. It was smart because they've had such problems with injuries. Yes, they're super deep, but you never know. This team is going to be the team on paper should be a playoff team.
Yep.
They should win this division.
Yep.
See. But by rule, no one's been able to repeat since 04, so they should be able to win it. And that's it, man. And Elliott Sipos is how you pronounce it.
Aaron Sipos, Jake Elliott, and Jake Lovato. Those are your 3 special teamers.
Rick Lovato, not Jake Lovato. Yes.
What did I say?
Jake Elliott, Aaron Sipos.
Rick Lovato. What's wrong with me today? Okay.
Rick Lovato. Yeah. Was let's see who else? They didn't bring another punter in. How about that one?
Yeah.
That was a surprise.
Yep. Oh, if the Eagles, like lose week 1 or have a loss within the first 3 or 4 weeks, that is because they gave great field position because Sipos did not punt well. The fans are going to stew. They are absolutely going to stew about that. They will not be happy because they're going to go back and say, you didn't even bring in a guy to compete with Aaron Sipos. You act like Aaron Sipos is a 10-year, like he's Donnie Donnie Jones.
Oh, DJ
right?
that was a great signing.
Yeah, it was a great signing. One of the most underrated signings of that 2017 team.
Saw him at the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, they've had such good, for the most part, really good special team specialists, kickers and punters and long snappers.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Sipos is one where another was he Australian rules rugby guy, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I know he's soccer or something, but anyway. But Elliott was the one that was the one where they got from the Bengals. And Marvin Lewis badmouthed him, and he ate those words. Jeez, what a stupid point. He really badmouthed him. That was dumb. I remember that.
Yep.
I was like, what does he know that the Eagles don't? And they were right, and he was wrong.
Yes, sir. All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Want to give a big thanks to our producer, Tyler Strasser. Does a great job. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.